Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Today I have 4 Reddit stories for you guys. All credit goes to the original posters of these stories, and I will link them in the description box. Chimp Game. It was Christmas, and as a gift for the whole family, my father decided that we would go to the zoo. We would all go except my grandmother, since she was sick. So we were only my 2 parents. I am 12 years old, and my younger brothers who were twins. One was a boy and the other was a girl. Upon arrival, we spent several hours walking and seeing the animals in their enclosures. That's how it was until we reached the chimpanzees' habitat. They were calm, eating the leaves from the branches that they tore off the trees. But there was one that was very different from the others, and that honestly gave me chills. It was one that was far from the others. It was sitting near the shore of a lake, looking straight ahead. But when I stared at it, I realized that he was looking at me with an inhuman smile that made me nervous, and I told my father what I was seeing. But strangely, he told me that he only saw an ape sitting near a lake, playing with its water for some reason that I did not understand. My father did not see the same thing as me, but I could swear the monkey looked at me with the psychopath smile. However, that was only the beginning of the nightmare. When we got home, we saw that the place was a disaster. The furniture was destroyed, the glass in the windows was destroyed, but that was not what disturbed us the most. Rather, my grandmother appeared from the kitchen, but she was crawling on the floor covered in blood, her face full of bruises and her 2 black eyes, while spit blood from her mouth. My parents came to help her, but at that moment she said, "He is still here." And in that deranged ape that I saw in the zoo appeared from the bathroom door, but now its appearance was more gloomy. Its fur was now curly, its canine teeth were longer and thicker, its milky eyes were light blue. "Sure," he said, "game time." And with his strong arms, he began to hit my grandmother. Me and my brothers listened as my grandmother's bones broke and broke, while my parents tried to separate the primate from her, but the ape pushed them very hard towards the wall. My parents told me to get my brothers away from the scene and to call 911. While I was taking my brothers upstairs, I saw how my parents grabbed some knives and stuck them into the primate. I went upstairs and left my brothers in my parents' room. Parents and took out the phone to call the emergency. When I went down, I couldn't see how the ape was hitting my father on his back with force, while my mother kept stabbing him, but in that the ape focused on my mother and rushed towards her. She began to rip off parts of her face, and it also brutally ripped out her teeth, and my mother could only scream in pain. And then the ape began to eat my mother's face. I wanted to help my parents, but I tripped on the stairs and fainted. When I woke up, I was being taken in an ambulance with my father. When I asked him about my grandmother and my mother, he told me with some tears in his eyes that they did not make it. While we walked away, I saw how the forensics took the primate's body shot after 4 years. Me and my father have taken care of the family, and my brothers have become very close to me. But I still wonder what exactly that thing was. How did he know where we lived? How could he go unnoticed and enter our house as if nothing had happened? I doubt it was an animal. An animal wouldn't do something like that, or at least not with that level of evil. I tried getting some easy money, and then... My story began a year ago when I was desperate as I got fired. Someone proposed me a way to make some money. All I had to do was to pretend I was a software technician, say a few standard phrases, then ask the person with whom I was speaking with to call a certain number. That was it. Once a month, I got paid. All went well until, with the corner of my eyes, I was catching glimpses of something moving. I ignored this and went out with my job. Later, I saw shadows passing through. At first, there was just glimpses. Then I saw them moving in front of me. At night, I began hearing footsteps. My TV switched on as I left the room. Then I turned it off again. It went back on. I turned it off. I waited. Nothing happened. Then suddenly it moved by itself. It stopped. All was quiet for a few weeks. Then I got arrested, to my surprise. I learned I was an accomplice to a major scam operation. I was put in jail, sharing a cell with another man of similar age. We talked. We got along well. At night I could hear something touching the metal cell bars, scratching them. My cellmate was asleep. Another day I heard footsteps. No one was there. One night I couldn't sleep. My cellmate couldn't sleep either. We talked. Then for some reason we began arguing. His eyes turned fully red. He began roaring and hissing and just screaming uncontrollably. Suddenly, and he moved way faster than a human could. He was near me. He almost teleported next to me. That's how fast he was. He grabbed me by my throat, suffocating me as he screamed. He then emitted a sound like that of a pig. I hit him. He squealed and squealed as he charged towards me. A guardian arrived and took me away. The cellmate stopped. Later, he told me he couldn't remember anything he did that night. Then I was released. I had a great lawyer who managed to prove I was just an innocent accessory to a scam, not guilty. I returned home, deciding that I will never have anything to do with those scammers again. I got a new job. First it was quiet, then every night I could feel someone enter my bed. I could feel its breath next to my ear. One night I woke up next to me. There was a completely black creature with horns and eyes glowing red. I screamed like I never did before in my life. The entity disappeared, but the door swinged open, then closed by itself. I was convinced it was a demon. I called a paranormal investigation team. After studying my case, I concluded someone sent the demon to torment me. The EVPs came out, and we could hear something laughing and demonic voices saying obscenities. A house exorcism will be performed. Now I am waiting for the church's approval to proceed. I still feel the entity entering my bed. I can hear footsteps and dishes that move by themselves. I hope things will calm down soon, but I know what I did was wrong, and I wish I didn't accept that job. I am alone as I'm writing this, just me and the shadows that glide across the walls, the TV that constantly turns itself on and off, and the entity who target I became. The Grim Reaper visited me 2 days ago. He told me I have 2 days. There's a folktale in my small town that the Reaper will warn you of your death. I thought it was some prank at first. Someone rang the doorbell, and I went to look through the peephole. A figure dressed in pitch-black robes stood outside my door. He must have been at least 6 feet tall. 2 days, he rasped in a demonic voice, the sound coming from all directions simultaneously. I covered my ears trying to drown the agonizing sounds out, and then he was gone, both the sound and the figure. I didn't even know what to think. Was it a prank? Was someone messing with me? Gouging out if I really believed the stupid tale? Or was he really the Reaper himself? I wasn't sure if he had a skith. Shouldn't the Reaper have a skith? I let out a loud sigh. My heartbeat finally receding. It was just a prank, I told myself, and went on with my plans for the day. However, it was not just a prank, because he visited me again the following day. This time the figure stood in the doorway of my bedroom as I lay in bed in the morning. At day, he rasped once more. The sound louder than the last time, almost deafening. I closed my eyes and put a pillow over my head. The sound stopped shortly after, just the last time, and the figure disappeared too. I needed to figure out what was going on and if I could stop him. That day I went to the local library and began searching for folk books. History of our little town. A library old-fashioned, I know. The problem was, however, our town isn't very modernized, so the information I was looking for wouldn't be found on the net. I asked the nice bookkeeper where the folktales are held and went on my way to find the one I was looking for. The Warning of the Reaper was the title of the book. It told a story of a young woman being visited by a tall figure in black robes and a hood over its head, omitting any facial features from being seen. 7 days, he had warned the woman, and returning every single day to remind her of her remaining time until the day of the collection. Your time is up. Give up your soul and move to the afterlife, he ordered the woman. But she was young and stubborn, and not willing to accept his gifts. I'm not yet old. Reaper, come back when I'm 50 years old and ready to go, the woman pleaded. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, the Reaper replied. You won't fool me twice. And he took her soul by force, in the most painful way imaginable. What a twisted tale, I thought to myself. His gift is the warning, and he wants your soul in return. Oh, that's a famous folktale in our little town, the librarian startled me from behind. Do you know anyone that has gotten this warning? I asked the elderly woman, as she looked up to the ceiling and thought. I have seen him, dear, she said with a solemn expression. He visited me once a long time ago. She took a seat beside me and took my hands in hers. You saw him too, didn't you? But how did you survive? I was desperate for answers. I tricked him, dear. She nodded to herself as if reminiscing about sour memories. Tricked him how? This was the key. If only she would tell me. I'm afraid that won't help you, dear. He realized he'd been tricked, and he won't let the same trick work twice. She stood, releasing my hand in hers. That's all I can tell you. Find your own trick to pull, so he doesn't harvest your soul. She turned and started walking away, but I could swear I saw her grinning as she did. A sigh escaped my lips as I stood up and put the book away. Well, if I was going to die, at least I'll pop my cherry. I went straight home attempting to seduce multiple men online, but as mentioned before, this little town is not technologically advanced, so I found no match. Next best was going to a bar. It was already late, and the Reaper always visited me at 8 a.m., meaning I had a little under 10 hours. Well, aren't you a pretty thing? A bulky short man said from behind me, and I gave him a smile. He sat down beside me. 2 martinis, one for me, one for the pretty lady here. He definitely wasn't the most attractive, but he'll have to suffice. After filling him up until early morning, keeping myself as sober as possible, I offered him to come to my place, which he didn't decline. I had to basically carry him up the stairs as he was too drunk to walk himself. I unlocked my apartment and walked in. Laying him down on the sofa, he was out cold. I gathered the necessary things and got down to work. First, I laid out the tarp so the mess would be easier to clean up. Then I rolled him over on the tarp and plunged in my power saw. Yes, this fresh college dropout had some fancy tools. I was quite crafty. As the saw roared to life, so did the man whose name I never got. What are you doing? He asked, groaning. I put the saw to his neck, and it cut right in. The blood splattered all over the apartment and on me. Hell, I need to tarp up the whole fucking apartment. The mess upset me, but I had to continue. The man still tried to breathe and get away. He was gurgling up blood. I shushed him as the saw finished cutting off his head. I just sat there, feeling the excitement tingling my very bones. An hour later, the Reaper appeared. Your time is up. Give up your soul and move to the afterlife. I grinned at him and pointed to the bloody mess down on the ground. You could take his soul instead. The Reaper stood motionless for a long moment. 5 years, he rasped. That's plenty of time. Next time, you'll get you something better, I replied. I inserted an old CD into my TV, and now it won't turn off. Anyone know how to fix it? 2 years ago, I found an old VHS tape of me and my old dog in 1996. I was cleaning out my attic and discovered an old box in the attic, full of old books, comics, movies, VHS tapes, and CDs, one of which included a porno. We don't talk about that. I went through the endless piles of books and VHS tapes and came across an old childhood video with me and my dog. It was in a creepy-looking wooden small box with a note attached to the other side of the box, but I didn't bother to read it. For some reason, it was the only video recorded of me, which is odd. I remember my parents recording at least a dozen videos of me as a child. I didn't think much about it at the time. I took out my old PS1 along with an old box TV and connected the PS1 to the TV, then inserted the disc into the console. Nostalgia hit me as the old eerie tune of the PS1 played. I played the disc. It was a cute, low-quality 15-second video of me playing fetch with my dog in a small empty park in the afternoon when I was 4. It started to replay. It was weird, but again, I thought nothing of it. I took the disc out and I decided that it would be a good idea to play some old 2000s rock music while continuing to clean out my attic. I took the old disc out and replaced it with the disc containing the music. After about 15 minutes, I hear static, then the video of me and my dog started to play again, confused and at the time a bit scared. I went over to the other end of the attic to check out the PlayStation. I opened up the PlayStation and took out the disc out, and the video still played. I checked the CD to see if it was the wrong one. Then I went back over to the other end of the room where the disc of me and my dog was, and saw it was laying in the trash pile. I picked it up and took a closer look at it before I noticed some untidy handwriting on the CD. It said, "Do not play" on it. I was confused. I went back to where the PlayStation was and looked back up at the TV. My dog looked weirder. Its face was a bit bloodied, and it was looking at the camera with an extremely blank, eerie stare, while I threw a bone across the park. My dog didn't budge until the video cut to a clip where my dog was returning with the bone wagging its tail. I thought I was just experiencing the Mandela effect, so I shook it off. I took out the disc and again it continued playing. I reinserted the disc and the music played again for a second. I felt a rush of relief and tension running down my spine. But that only lasted a few seconds because the video started playing again. I unplugged the PlayStation from the TV, but it was still playing, so I unplugged it from the outlet, still playing. At this point, I was telling myself, what the fuck? I was a bit scared, but mostly panicked and confused. I unplugged the TV, it was still playing. I froze for a few moments. I slowly stand up and rushed down the ladder, closed the attic up, and left it there, just playing. Luckily, I couldn't hear it from the first floor. For the rest of the day, I thought about it. After about a month, I forgot about it. One night at about 3:56 a.m., I heard static, with the dreaded sound of me laughing. I wake up almost immediately. I run to my living room and see the video of me and my dog playing on my TV. I felt a shiver run down my spine and heard someone breathing down my neck, or at least I thought I did. I turned on the lights and looked at my TV. My dog was staring at the camera. One of his eyes were missing. His head was covered in blood, and his front leg was missing. I was frozen, mortified. What is going on? I opened the attic and see the old box TV playing the same video. I noticed a pink sticky note at my feet. I picked it up. It read, "If you're reading this note, it's already too late. You've opened the box. I'm guessing the person reading this is Jason, me. Every video that we've taken of you has been odd. Unfortunate events keep happening when we watch videos of you. While watching every video, somebody would get injured or sick, so we decided to destroy all of them." The back of the note said, "While watching this video, your dog passed away. We tried to destroy it, but for some reason, it kept coming back to us, so we decided to seal it away. In this order: destroy the CD, burn it, get a crucifix and destroy all of the TVs with the video currently playing on it. Hire a priest and purify your house, then move away." So I did just that. I decided to move in with my wife after that. A year later, I was speaking with her in the living room when I noticed a blank disc. As soon as I looked up at the TV, I saw me and my dog. I felt a shiver run down my spine. A tear rolled down my cheek. I turned to my wife and told her to get out of the house. She left the house without any reluctance. I decided to do what my parents did. I put the disc away in the box and brought it to the priest to get purified and burned it. The only problem is the TV will not stop playing the video. It's been another year. We can't destroy the TV or even turn it off. Whenever we try to, we feel an overwhelming wave of shame just before we destroy it or turn it off, resulting in us failing to destroy it. Please, somebody help. We can't handle it anymore. We're so desperate to stop it. You couldn't even imagine. Any advice? Thank you for listening. If you like this type of content, please consider subscribing and liking to my channel, and I will see you on the next one.